Welcome, G.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you here and to share your story, your experiences, and also just be an advocate for young people, but also young females. So, could you start off by telling us about yourself before your brain injury and then how you sustained your brain injury?
So I used to be cabin crew, used to fly for British Airways, was wanting to quit. So I thought, okay, I've had enough of this. I was obviously from Leicester, traveling down to London every day. It's all a bit too much for me. And then furlough happened. So I thought, okay, I'll be furloughed, move to London and try and make my life a little bit easier. Worked in a motorbike membership club. And then I got a call from British Airways asking if I'd go back flying. So I did a flight to the Bahamas. It was fine, landed back into the UK and felt an air pressure like I'd never felt it before, and it hurt. So that week I went back to my family home because I just wanted to sort of make me a cup of tea, have a bubble bath, like normal life. Came back to London and I was meant to be doing a flight to Crete. I called in sick because I just didn't feel well. And that day it was Halloween and my Pulp Fiction outfit was arriving. So that came to the door and all of a sudden it was like a bag of crisps popped in my head. And I was like, oh my God, ow, what is that? And I was trying to get to the door. I think I rang my mum at the time and I was like, I need to call an ambulance, something is happening. And I started to have a stroke. So my voice was going and I kept dropping my phone and it was just a nightmare. Called an ambulance, the boy that I was seeing at the time called an ambulance. And I sort of packed this hospital bag because I thought, okay, I'm having a bad headache, an ambulance is coming. I think it was like a really crappy white t-shirt and these awful granny pants, and got myself out of my bed sit. And I remember I just shouted for help. Like I knew an ambulance was coming and the front door had to be open. And these two guys that lived in my flat came down to see me, but my sight had completely gone by this point. So I wasn't sure who was there helping me. And I was kind of saying to them, like, an ambulance is coming. And my sister kept ringing me. And the girl that was answering was like, she's taking something toxic. So obviously they thought I'd taken drugs. I was being quite violently sick. And then the ambulance came. And I remember they said to me, do you like water? And I kind of roughly said yes to them. And it was obviously because the hospital I was in was going to be next to the Thames. I think, I don't know, he was trying to keep me awake and whatever. But at that point, I obviously let myself pass out because I was desperately trying to stay awake for the ambulance to get there. They took me down, and the guy that I was seeing at the time, I remember he knocked on the ambulance door and that sort of woke me up. But then I woke up a month later after a coma and completely forgot who my family were.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty much paralyzed. Yeah, I was clueless to what happened to me. My sight was gone still at that point. And yeah, I had to learn everything again.
That's so scary,
Yeah.
like just out of nowhere. And
Completely out of nowhere.
were you 26?
27.
27, yeah. So like young and you're just like living your best life.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Flying the world.
it's all taken away from you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenges that you had at kind of back then obviously when you woke up and you were kind of recovering? Like what were the biggest challenges?
Understanding what happened to me. It was over Christmas time, so the fact that I couldn't go home, I didn't understand why my family were putting me in this area and like coming in for an hour a day, and then I just couldn't understand it. I didn't get it because I didn't, obviously I'd been told I'd had a brain injury, but I don't know, the capacity for me to understand that I had a brain injury wasn't quite there. So I was in this, what I thought was some sort of asylum over Christmas time, and my family were coming in for an hour a day. Christmas I spent by myself. I was ordering a ridiculous amount of like nice clothes home and heels and stuff because I just thought I was going to be home for New Year and I couldn't even walk. So I was buying these heels that, yeah, it was strange. It was hard to understand. I think that was the hardest thing.
Yeah, and kind of going through all of that.
Yeah.
Because I know you were saying what the doctors kind of said wasn't as positive as you wanted, but I feel like you've come, well, they're shocked at kind of how you've progressed and like where you are now.
Yeah.
Did they tell you that you wouldn't be walking? Is it both?
I wasn't meant to be back at work for 5 years, and I was meant to be in a wheelchair for 3 years. Well, with a Zimmer frame for 3 years. So yeah, I spent 2 months in London and then came back to a rehabilitation centre in Leicester. And then they obviously let me home with the Zimmer frame. And I remember we took it to the bottom of the drive and I was like, there's no chance that Zimmer frame's coming in the house. So we made myself walk up to the house and I practiced from them basically.
So what would you say, looking back in hindsight, because I know you kind of said what you wish you'd had kind of maybe more information, or just kind of from a young person's point of view, you felt like there wasn't that much out there?
Yeah.
Looking back, what would be quite valuable, do you think, and more positive back then for you?
For somebody my age who I'd be able to see where I could get to, because I felt the whole time, obviously, I hadn't understood what happened to me. I didn't like, I was clueless to it. So I was very happily lie in a bed all day, have cups of teas bought for me, and it was just like I wanted to sleep. So for everyone around me to sort of push me to become better would have meant a lot for me, I think. It wasn't there. There wasn't that aim, I guess, to see I could become something again.
Being basically on a ward with people in a similar like age bracket, similar
100%.
situation to you
100%.
would have kind of, well, that's kind of how you kind of learn it, isn't it? To kind of be like, take ideas and things from that and kind of work forward. So
see what's possible, I
yeah,
guess.
see what's possible. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I know you've come on leaps and bounds since then, because that was 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then how have you found anything that you struggle with now?
Short-term memory
Right.
is really bad, really, really bad. And we do sort of make a joke of it, like around my workplace, it is kind of funny. I'm like, oh, well, I've had a brain injury, and we all sort of laugh about it. But when it gets serious, like my memory is still quite bad. Dates, I'm awful. The other day, my mum was with me in London, and we were buying some tickets to a West End show, and they came online, so I bought them really quickly. But the date had already passed, and I just can't get into my head like dates. You can physically tell them to me, but I just don't understand numbers at all, and it's really annoying, really annoying. And like dates, with as if I'm going on a date, I can say, yeah, we'll go out next Friday, whatever, but then I've already got things booked, and I just can't seem to get my head around the fact that things are already booked over those days. It's weird.
So like triple, double booking yourself all the time. Like
100%.
Oh, that's wild though. Just like something simple like that, and has like such mad input, like impact on your life. And then in regards to Headway, how did you find out about Headway, and what kind of services or things that you found quite valuable from Headway, the Brain Injury Association?
So I found out about Headway in hospital. I think it was one of my physios. Obviously I was struggling with what I could come out and do, because I didn't want help from like a stroke ward so much, or I didn't quite know where I sat in the whole brain injury community or whatever. So yeah, she told me about it. She like, you have to get in touch with these people. And then there was a nurse that used to come into the hospital, but obviously it was COVID, so they didn't really come in much. And then when I got sent home, they brought what they called, a person that comes to your house, our local sort of support lady for Headway. So she came in, and she used to like send me art packs, and then we used to do groups on Zoom and stuff, which was all really good. But again, nobody was my age, so I feel I struggled with that ever so slightly. So yeah, I felt like I needed a push in that sense.
Yeah.
It probably needs to be given to my age a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I 100% would have enjoyed that, like to be with people that I can relate to almost.
And then what I did want to talk to you about, which I'm super excited about, is you were on first dates recently. Take one. And they yeah, it must have been quite scary. Is it exciting to kind of put yourself out there, like just go for a date anyway, and then you're going on a date on like TV that everyone's gonna see. But how was that experience?
Hard in the sense, so obviously when they approached me, my brain injury was my story, and that was like made quite clear. Are you happy to do this? I was like, yeah, absolutely, because in my head, if the date went awfully, which obviously it did, but I wasn't expecting, at least I can talk to people about my brain injury, because I didn't know what an AVM was before I had one. And if I had known that, and I knew that's what my headaches probably were, or the pain was, or whatever, then I could have got scanned prior to all of this, and then obviously saved so much. But it's hard. I realized after that I don't want a brain injury to be my personality, because obviously I chatted to them about this, and the fact that he was sort of taking the mick out of the fact that I had bad memory, and the day obviously went badly, and he said, oh, it doesn't matter, you won't remember it by tomorrow. And it was like, this isn't cool. So yeah, it's hard. And now I realize I don't really want to introduce myself with I've had a brain injury, because I think I come across quite normal, and to look at me, I don't really look like I've had a brain injury. So obviously then when it's quite hard to tell somebody my memory's bad because of this, or they don't understand it. People do think I'm taking the mick a little bit when I say I've forgotten. So yeah, it was interesting.
Like an experience. But I guess it's sort of like a learning,
again.
like a learning experience.
Yeah.
But I think it's just such an amazing platform to kind of get to a younger audience. And like you said, getting it out there because a lot of young people will be watching it, and learning, and obviously talk about Headway and just educating people.
Yeah.
And and I do appreciate what you're saying. Like that's not who you are. Like rocking up being like, hi, I'm G, I have a brain injury.
Yeah.
So, and also you were saying earlier about dating. How has dating kind of changed, and relationships, I guess, generally since you've had your brain injury?
I think we were talking about this yesterday. My emotions don't run very deeply, and I think that's since the brain injury. So it's great meeting all these people, but then it doesn't really get much further than that for me afterwards. It's strange. It's hard in the sense that I'll meet people and then I like them, but afterwards my emotions aren't really there. So it's odd. I can't explain it. Dating is difficult compared to how it used to be.
But it's, I guess, like just that learning curve for you and kind of working out
how I can deal with it.
And also, I know you were saying as well, obviously, we're talking about dating wise, but also work wise. I know because you had your operation last October. And I was, when I was speaking to you, I was shocked that you were literally already at work, like so quickly. Your doctors were literally like, this is wild. But then, like you said, you appreciate you having so much time out. Like you're literally a young professional kind of wanting to go out there and you want to, make your mark. You want to work up that ladder. Like, how has that affected you work wise?
So I got given a massive, like the best opportunity to go back into work, into the, I don't know, area that I'm working in. And I'm lucky that the people around me understand that I have had a brain injury. Obviously, when I was on furlough, that's where I was working in the restaurant. So they obviously knew what happened to me. And when I came back, they said, we're going to understand what's happened, but we want you to work in the office in our space. But it's hard that sometimes I get so tired, I can't push myself further in that in the job, in my career. So yeah, it's good. It has its difficulties, like the amount of calendars that I have and diaries that I have and notes that I have to write everywhere is bonkers. And obviously the office take the mick a little bit. They're like, gee, do you need one more diary? I'm like, yeah, I probably do. My alarm's flashing all day. So yeah, it's hard, and then you have to find like different coping mechanisms to do things, and they have to understand that I get quite tired. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It just comes with, I guess my job's kind of made a little bit hard in the sense that I have to do everything twice.
Yeah, and I guess you're as much as you're learning at the same time, you're educating people around you. And obviously that's been a massive thing with work, being able to help you, is you kind of educating them and explaining to them. And that's really obviously helped you. But I think this is kind of what you're here now trying to tell the world, basically.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. And if we all kind of work together, people kind of know how to support you and you support.
I think that's the thing. If people understand around you, it helps massively. It really helps, because it's all fun, and then but they see when I do get tired, they're like, okay, come on, let's help you, or don't come in till 12 o'clock tomorrow, like you need a bit of sleep. So they do understand it. I work hard, but I think it's quite obvious when I do drop, and this sounds really silly, I had eye surgery, and when I get tired, my eye moves out ever so slightly. So from my brain injury, I had strabismus, so this eye lost its strength completely. So when I do get tired, it does stray out ever so slightly, and they pick up on that, and then the sort of jokes are put aside, and they're like, yeah, stop now.
Oh, that's so good. That's so supportive, because there's nothing worse, I guess, than feeling that pressure, which is only going to make everything feel worse. But it's like mad, because you wouldn't even know looking at you at all. And that's the problem, is it with brain injuries, is it's an invisible.
I think that's the hard thing, because people do often think that you're not taking the mic, but or like using it. I'm like, I'm not, like this is hard. I can't remember that because I have had a brain injury. They're like, yeah, gee, okay, but actually, you can't remember because it has been something.
How have you found it's affected your independence? Because obviously being a young adult, and the whole point is trying to leave home and become independent, do all these things for yourself. Because I know you're working and getting your driving license back, all of these things. What advice do you have as well? But what have you found has been quite difficult kind of from an independent point of view, not being able to kind of, if you want to go traveling, or just these things that you normally would have probably just thrown yourself at?
I think I have found different ways around. Obviously, I've moved to London, so transport wise it's easier. And when I come back home to Leicester, I'm sitting at home like I can't drive, I can't get out anywhere, and it's hard. So I think the fact that I've moved somewhere where transport is a lot easier to get around me has helped me hugely, and that's given me a sense of independence back. Flying and stuff, I obviously want my next brain scan, because sensibly I want to make sure I'm well to start doing those things. Same with my driving license, it's just time, really. I do think a lot of this learning is to take time. It comes.
Yeah, like
I do
your drive
realize
is
when
wild.
things are, I push, but when it's serious, like with the license, if I'm not ready for it, then I'm not ready for it. So
Yeah.
time.
But it's
happens.
that like ambition that to work towards, isn't it?
The
Which
ambition's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're so like determined and like passion, like just resilient person, like
I
what
don't
you've
really
been
take
through
no as an
and where
answer.
you are.
So
Like
yeah.
where you are compared to
Yeah.
then is just incredible.
Yeah.
So we want to say as well from Headway, thank you so much that you are a Headway hero. You have raised so much money along with your family, your mum and your sister who are with us here today. Yay! Who've raised loads of money and done loads of fundraising. How has it been fundraising for Headway? How's that experience been?
Special, because it helped me. So the fact that we can help people just feels amazing. Honestly, it feels amazing. You might make me cry.
No, I'm not going that way. But I do feel like we do find that a lot of people, because it's such a hard time, like you go through, and a lot of the time it doesn't touch people, and people don't have much awareness about it and not educated about it until it happens to them.
Education is a big thing.
Yeah.
A huge thing. Because I was like, oh my God, am I the only one that's had this? And I didn't get it. So to find a platform where you can find people, because I was even in a mind frame where I didn't know how to start looking for people. Like, what have I had? Where on earth do I start? How can I find someone that can help me with this? Because it wasn't a stroke. It wasn't an aneurysm as such sort of thing. So it was something that I was completely clueless to. So to have a platform where you can find that really helps. Really helps.
I think it's
My eyelashes are going to fall off.
no. You look great. I feel like people do find it brings, like, as much as obviously it's very challenging for families, you go through a lot, but there's also that element of kind of bringing you together and making you stronger than you were before. And then fundraising is an amazing way to do that, and it's an amazing way to educate people and shout about it and get more people to know about it and raise money to help other people who've been through a
big thing, I think.
similar situation that you have. And like you say, the things that you wish that you'd have, we can start kind of sharing, spreading that, working on that, raising money and kind of working towards helping more people, which is amazing. What's the secret? But like, what is it that like pushes you forward, that keeps driving you forward?
I don't really know. I'm very determined. I don't take no as an answer at all. And I have this stupid mentality that pain doesn't hurt, like it's fine, push through it, whatever. And I just won't take no with nothing. And I answer everything with just so what? And if it's out of my control, I don't worry about it. And obviously if something doesn't happen, I'm like, well, so what? And if the answer to so what isn't actually that bad, then just crack on with it. Yeah. I just try not to worry. If it's out of my control, I'm not doing anything about it. This was out of my control, so I tried my hardest not to worry about it and let other people sort of do it for me, and it helped.
That's amazing. I feel like that's good advice, and I feel like just that positive mindset I think makes all that difference.
Mindset is a big thing.
That's amazing.
Was a big thing.
What advice would you give to people who have a brain injury, similar age to you, or just kind of generally kind of dating and kind of going through this experience? What advice would you give? Don't give up. What are you going to say? Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Just don't take no as an answer. Try, and then if you just try.
So the same for like dating, work, like everything, just keep pushing forward and trying it.
And if it doesn't work, then genuinely, like, so what? If it doesn't end up how you want it to end, so what? You've tried it. because you regret it if you don't.
What would you like people to better understand about brain injury?
Patience.
Going through patience, yeah.
Patience massively. Like, I obviously try to be just patience with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I could ask.
And then what kind of plans, challenges, adventures you've got coming up?
When I was in hospital, obviously I said to these guys, look, if I was able to do this, I'd be doing it for you. So I want you to run for me. So they did. And then obviously I booked it to do the year after.
Yeah.
Had my brain injury, not my brain injury, the surgery like a couple of weeks
I know you
before.
want to do that.
So we moved it on a year. And it's a big mission for me because obviously when I was in hospital, I could not even get out of bed. I couldn't step up a pavement. The treadmill was like absolutely impossible. So yeah, to try and run, it's hard. My balance is still a little bit bad. So yeah, it's a mission. It's going to be good.
Amazing. Oh, I love that. This is so exciting. And then is there kind of anything else that you want to say, or do you feel like you
don't give up?
Don't give
with
up.
anything.
Oh, I love
having
that.
a brain injury doesn't mean the end of life.
No.
The brain injury, hang on, wait, what do I do? Brain injury lives with me. The brain injury lives with me. I don't live with the brain injury.
I love that.
So it works around my life. I don't work around the brain injury's life. And I think that's a good way to sort of think about things.
No, that's incredible. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. It's been so amazing, emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm inspired. I'm off this weekend. I'm going to go sign up for a marathon. I love it. God, that's a good me. Okay. Oh, God. Now I've said it on camera. Okay. Let's do it. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you.